everyone, on behalf of the Mindalia TV team. Welcome to Mindalia live streaming. Today we are being joined once again by Dan Blanchard. Dan is an award-winning and best-selling author, speaker, and educator. He's going to be having a very interesting conversation with Kim Peterson. Kim is an occupational therapist and a divorce lawyer. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia.com is an international nonprofit organization and that you can collaborate with us by liking this video, leaving us a positive comment, subscribing to our channel, or sharing this with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we're live streaming, we have an active chat, so if you have questions, you're more than welcome to interact with us. Having said that, I have now the great pleasure of leaving you with Dan Blanchard and Kim Peterson. Guys, welcome to Mindalia.
Thank you, Myrna.
Yes.
It's so great to be back on Mindalia TV. I think Mindalia TV fans are some of the greatest fans in the world. So let me tell Mindalia fans about my friend Kim Peterson, who's an author. We travel in some of the same circles, do some, we meet some of the same people, do some of the same things, and we have a good time making a difference in the world. So Kim Peterson, who is she? She is an occupational therapist. An author, as I just told you, is an attorney, as Myrna had mentioned, and she's the mother. She's the mother of a chronically ill child who is now 21 years old. How's that for devotion for all those mothers out there, right? Imagine that. How cool is that? That Kim does this sort of thing, so unselfish, right? Kim has written a very cool book, right? It's called What Now? When you or a loved one gets sick. And I think that's like a question every one of us should be asking ourselves, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen to either us or someone we know and love, but it's a matter of like when it's going to happen. It absolutely is going to happen. And when it happens to either you or someone that you love and know, then you want Kim Peterson to be in your corner. You want to have her book. You know what I'm saying? You want to listen to her speak. You want to know what she does. So, Kim, thank you for being on the show tonight. It's so great to have you here. How have you been?
Dan, thank you. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm so happy to be able to share what I've learned, and I hope it helps people. And I love hearing from people as well. And I'm fine. We're here in Connecticut. It snowed last night. So, the winter is here.
Oh, yeah. Of course. So, Kim, you do a lot of stuff with occupational therapists that maybe the regular lay man, woman, person may not truly understand. So hopefully you can help us understand that a little bit of what the normal person doesn't get and what they should get. And then kind of maybe fill us in a little bit more of like who you are and what your motivations are, what drives you to be, the wonderful person, woman, and mother that you are.
Oh, thank you. Well, an occupational therapist, it is a term that's sort of misunderstood, but it's a valid profession. It's been around, forever, since the 1800s. And really what it means is the occupation of life. The occupation of life. So you don't have to be ill to benefit from occupational therapy. A lot of our motivational speakers are actually doing OT, occupational therapy, without even realizing it. Because what you're doing is people are deciding how they want to live their lives.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the medical context, it's a bunch of challenges. And how do you maneuver those challenges and yet have the life that you want? The only best way that I could say is how to get the life you want under your current circumstances.
Oh, that's well said. I like that. And Kim, as you know, my day job is I'm a teacher.
Yes.
And I know that as a teacher, I deal with sometimes occupational therapists, students that leave the classroom. But I got to be honest with you, like very rarely does the occupational therapist come in the classroom. Usually it's like a pull-out program. Mm-hmm. Kid goes to see an occupational therapist once a week, once a month, whatever it may be, the schedule. So I don't really get to see a lot of the things that they're doing over in the occupational therapy session. Mm-hmm. So like, what is some like typically, and I love how they're making the best use of their life or whatever circumstances they have. But like, what does like that look like?
Well, for children, it's part of their individual education plan. So goals would have been developed with the whole in their whole PPT. And for occupational therapy, it could be for even maybe a child with attention deficit order. The goal is for the child to and the therapist to figure out what works best for them to be able to get through an assignment. Okay. How do
Yeah.
you, where to be in the classroom, where to sit. Some people are very attuned to their environment. So some people need to sit by a window. Some people don't.
Okay.
So it can go
Yeah.
to that extent. Sometimes they used to, well, this is so funny. They used to focus on handwriting, but kids don't write anymore.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a
right?
good thing because I write terribly.
Well,
I always got a D in penmanship.
right. Remember that? So
Yeah.
some kids, so it used to, penmanship used to be big. So now what it is, it would be if focusing on a keyboard a lot of times, and
Yeah.
depending on what the child's circumstances are, some kids don't really have good use of their hands. So working to develop any kind of modality, such, building up a pencil. And here I have a pencil here.
Yeah.
Building it up so that it's easier to grip.
I
Because
was just going to ask you about that. Put the
Mhm.
little thing on the pencil, the pen,
Yes.
like what is it,
Right.
like assistive technology?
Well, yeah, it is assisted technology. It's a piece of rubber and it's assisted
Yeah.
technology. Okay.
Yeah, go figure, right?
It gets a whole chapter in books about assisted technology. Because you know what though? Do you notice I use them? I use the rubber grippers. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Why
don't
not?
have to have, it just helps me because, I'm using a pen when sometimes you press too hard, the
Yep.
gripper just makes it easier. So
Uh-huh.
there's little things like that. Some children who are in school who are in wheelchairs will go to OT and PT. And, sometimes that's just basically giving them some skills to get to the bathroom by themselves, or how to deal with their aide. A lot of students will have a paraprofessional. And what does the aide do and what do they do? And what do they want to do? Some
Yeah.
kids, it's really hard just to get ready for us too. And even especially if you have an illness, but it's just so hard getting up in the morning and getting resting, ready and getting, by the time you get to where you're going, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
All
I hear
right.
you. And I think some days it's getting harder to tie my shoes.
I mean, for all of us. Well, let me tell you, if you had a hip replacement, okay,
I
or a
have.
knee replacement, oh, you had one. Did you get the
Yep.
elastic laces for your shoes? They
No.
actually, another low key assisted technology is there's elastic for your shoes, so you don't have to tie them.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's little things like that. It's as simple as helping someone figure out how to do their laundry. Now, you don't think laundry is a big deal, but if
Yep.
you got to do it, you got to do it. So
True.
what if
It never stays done.
some of the lawn, some of our washers are you load from the side, some of them you
Yep.
load from the top.
Uh-huh.
So that's some of the stuff.
Can I ask you a question, Kim? Were you doing this stuff before your child was born? Or was this something that you learned because your child, you had to give your child extra help and you just fell into occupational therapy? Or were you already doing it and you were like ahead of the curve?
Well, there's two parts. I majored a long time ago in rehabilitation services. And at that time, there were not a lot of OT programs. I knew about it, but I decided to be a lawyer instead because there was only one occupational therapist per hospital, and maybe I was afraid of job security.
Yeah.
So I became a
hear ya.
lawyer. But I said all my skills is about special, rehabilitation is, even when folks become paralyzed, when they can't use their bodies, I learned all of that in general.
Yeah.
Then I became a lawyer, and then I went back and get my master's in occupational therapy in 2010. And a lot of it had to do with my daughter because it affected all of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It really did. So
Yeah.
it really did. And also for your children, sometimes with your children going to school, sometimes occupational therapy is talking about getting through a class, making friends.
It's important.
Or why are kids teasing me, or are they just being kids? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I really went at it at the social level.
Uh-huh.
It was
Yep.
more of what does a kid who's sick who can't go to school do all day?
That's a good question.
Right? How do you, because you're basically the only people you see are doctors and therapists for a while.
Yeah, and your parents, and you probably don't really see many kids. If you got some siblings, they're leaving and going to school, sports, their friends' houses. So they're just
Right.
kind of like passing sometimes.
And all of the family is sort of affected too,
Yeah.
because, kids have to wait their turn. I mean, kids have to wait their turn anyway, but sometimes everything in the family stops when somebody gets sick. you know,
Yeah.
whether it be a parent,
Yeah.
a grandparent, or a child.
Yep.
You know, and then you need to rely on other people to help. You know,
Mhm.
frequent emergency visits means call a neighbor, and can your
Uh,
child go there, or your kid goes with you to the hospital. Your other kid goes with you to the hospital.
I haven't thought about any of these things, so this is very eye-opening to me. And I got 5 kids, and
Right.
they're pretty healthy kids, but they have their moments where they get sick or hurt. My
Yes.
daughter fell on the stairs at
Oh,
school and
yeah.
broke her leg. My
Right.
son had
Right.
knee surgery. So
Right.
me and my wife are trying to figure this all out. It's not
That's
easy.
right. That's exactly right. Figuring it out. How do we figure it out? You know, how do we best do? And yet, so as parents, here we are trying to do all that stuff, and then you've got a kid who's not feeling too well and who's wondering what's going to happen to my life. Is this ever going to get
Yeah.
better? I'm missing. If when I go back to school, people remember me. You know how the cliques the kids developed. You know, how
Yeah,
do I get back in? Um,
that
you
sounds
know,
scary.
well, kids also don't always like. It's nice when other friends will come over the house when you're sick, but after a while, everyone gets tired of it. You know, the healthier
Yeah.
kids move on. The kids who are still having difficulty kind of separate. So
Hmm.
occupational therapy deals with that too. You know,
It
so
seems pretty broad spectrum of
it's
what
wonderful.
occupational therapy, but it seems very, very useful and extremely necessary and important. And if you don't mind, Kim, I'd like to throw you out there as an example. That old saying, the Lord doesn't give you more than you can do. Use you as a tool, whatever. You've got this situation at home, and you educated yourself because you wanted to help your child, and then you were able to, with your overflowing knowledge and skills and experience, bring it out into the real world, help others, make some money helping others as a job. You know,
Mhm.
um, it sounds like really cool. Writing a book on it.
Well,
You're like Messiah.
I also want to add, being a divorce lawyer for 30 years, talk
Yep.
about another change that people have to go through. So
Oh yeah, you.
I use my occupational therapy skills in that regard because everyone's facing a change. You know,
I
everybody.
hadn't even thought about that.
No, it's kind of just what sort of happened. You know,
Yeah.
I'd been doing it formally before 2010, but then when I really got the skills from school, because everyone's life changes during a divorce,
Hmm.
or even if people aren't getting married, everyone's life changes when partners are no longer together. You know,
Yep.
because we have families, who even though the parents aren't married, they're still a family. But
Yep.
we have that right now. That's at least a third of the court cases now.
So
So,
when do you know if you should look for an occupational therapist? Now I joke with my wife every once in a while. I'm like, I always wonder if I should schedule like a session with a therapist. My
yeah.
wife's like, you need help. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just that, sometimes I've heard from like overachievers or from peak performers that they've actually gotten better, more productive, more successful by getting to know themselves and through therapy and et
Mhm.
cetera. And I'm like, and it sounds like this occupational therapy could be a beneficial thing to all sorts of people at all different times in their lives. So how do you know if you should reach out to one?
If when we're involving children, your pediatrician or your family doctor, your PCP can make a referral through
Yeah.
just make a referral to occupational therapy. And it's as simple as that. So
Okay.
now a person who has a knee replacement or hip replacement would automatically get a referral most of the time, depending on how old they are, but they'll automatically get a referral to OT. All right. If they end up
Yep.
in a subacute rehab unit, which means you basically spend 4 weeks in rehab, you're not ready to go home yet because you've had
Uh-huh.
a joint replacement, you will get OT automatically.
See, that's where I missed out on it, Kim.
Yeah.
I
Did
told
you
my
go
wife, I'm
right
like,
home?
put me in one of those homes for like a month and
No,
whatnot.
you
I'll
went.
just sleep. I'll sleep for a month and get.
Oh no,
Oh,
no,
but
they
no,
will
my
work
wife said
you.
you're gonna come home.
They will, believe me, Dan, they will work you. You will have PT and OT every day.
Yeah, I got PT at home, but I
Right.
never got the OT. I feel like I missed out.
Well, it depends, because if you are able to do everything that you normally would do, then you're okay. I mean, that's the kind of thing. Um,
Yep.
but some folks just can't they can't. I mean, if you have a stroke, right? If you have a stroke, you
Oh,
may not be able to do all the things that you
yeah.
want to do, even though you can reach 100% recovery rate.
Yep.
And then if you can't, so you recovered, you were 100% when you went in, you were what's called independent. You're
Yep.
independent in all levels of life because they divide them into 6 categories. And your goal was just to get back to independence. And you were probably healthy before your hip. Was it a knee or hip?
Hip.
You were already healthy before your hip replacement. So your rehab was very easy compared
Yeah.
to some people.
I think I was just looking to sleep for like a month, and it just didn't work out for me.
No, they'll keep you there. You are not allowed to be still. You have to be up. But for parents, so
Yep.
any pediatrician can make a recommendation. Some are no more than the others. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just depends because it's another therapy. Insurance, basic insurance covers it just like it covers physical therapy. Okay, so the doctor
Yep.
would literally put in a prescription, and then nowadays the way our healthcare is, you can go anywhere you want. You know how we have Hartford Healthcare here. We have Trinity Healthcare. We
Yep.
have, and then there's private for children. There are private occupational therapy offices that take our insurance, and
Yeah.
those are for some of our kids have sensory issues. Remember what I talked about, like sitting in the same classroom or
Oh yeah.
there's sensory issues. So we have occupational therapy private practices, oftentimes associated with a naturopath,
Uh-huh.
not
And
not a- not a-
naturopath.
not an MD, sometimes
Yeah.
an MD,
That's
but
interesting.
our naturopath doctors are not considered MDs; they're NDs, and
All right.
they use a lot of non-traditional. I don't want to say non-traditional. They use other things other than medications. We have
Yeah.
a lot of children are very allergic to a lot of our medications.
Yep.
Children who have autism to some degree, there's lots of different therapies you can do for them that aren't necessarily regular CVS brand pharmaceuticals. They just
Yeah.
don't work.
Yep.
So a naturopath is another type of doctor. And they have all the home remedies from the olden days that they swear works, Chinese medicine, so acupuncture. So a lot of those doctors have links right to OT, and they're allowed to prescribe as well.
And are they more? Because I'm thinking, like, I've sometimes in my classroom, I put up
Mm-hmm.
little things on the lights to make it like dimmer. I
Mm-hmm.
put like I taped like little Velcro to like
Yeah.
under the desk for
Right.
kids that have autism that like need that
You're perfect.
tactile stimulation. I've
See,
done all
you're
these
doing it.
things, but are the natural doctors, are they more let's say open-minded to referring kids to OT than the traditional medical doctors, or is it about the same?
It depends now. So you don't really need a naturopath if traditional medicine is working for somebody,
Yeah.
if it is. But our medical model is definitely a medical model. Our doctors won't talk to us about how to help your kid who has ADHD concentrate other than giving a medication, which I'm not going to even criticize. It is, whereas
Or path.
a naturopath will work more on sensory issues
Mm-hmm.
and in the child's environment, and then refer them to PT, refer them to OT, and then
Yep.
in the OT room it looks like a gym. So it's focused. It's how do you do your core, right? Because you got to
Yep.
sit. You got to sit in school. You got to sit on your wheelchair. So they'll
Yep.
do lots of exercises, but it's more in a it looks like it's a recreational area.
Now, is this something that we should rely on our doctors to know about and suggest to us when our kids need it? Or is this something that we should, like as parents, be more aware of and be willing to suggest to the doctors that perhaps this could be another OT, could be another route for our kids?
Many pediatricians are aware of occupational therapy. If they don't recommend it, if the parent recommends it, they're not going to say no. You know what I mean? They'll write the prescription out. It just depends on how knowledgeable they are. Now, let me go further. So say we have an older person who maybe starting to have memory issues, but not a lot,
Mhm.
or not getting around as well, or even
Hold
having
on, I'm both of those. I think I'm doing both of those now.
your piece. You could say to your PCP, they could say, I'm really having trouble with memory. I heard that an occupational therapist may be able to help me. Or how about this one? Macular degeneration. My vision isn't as strong as it was. I heard that occupational therapy has a low vision kind of technique that may help. So
Really?
many
How about hearing?
I'm working on the hearing right now. Getting
What'd you say?
Well, let me tell you, hearing is huge, and it is an area that I'm focusing on quite a bit right now, because we don't realize that when we can't hear, you can't. How do you distract yourself if you don't hear anything? You have your memories,
Yeah.
right?
Yup. Yup.
But if you suddenly lose your hearing, all right, you become dizzy, get vertigo, your balance is off, you start banging into things. And so OT will help with that as well. OT, you know what I mean? Like you have to
Yeah.
literally learn your environment. So a traditional medical doctor may not think of occupational therapy that way, but
Yep.
there's many occupational therapists have many specialties.
So we should be educating ourselves so
Yes,
we're aware of these things. I know you wrote a really cool book about that, and I know you forwarded me the chapters and all that. Could you share a little bit about that? Some of the premises of the book and what you're trying to do with the book?
absolutely. Well, first, I've written it, hope maybe rationalizing a little bit, hoping to make the most of my experiences, professional and personal, and
Yep.
hoping that they can help somebody else. That was the
Cool.
motivation to write the book. And to let people know, when you have an ill family member, or if you're ill, the isolation is huge.
Yeah.
You don't even know how you're feeling. Especially, when a child who is ill all the time has a different perspective as opposed to a child or an adult who gets ill suddenly. And that's why my first chapter is called The Shock.
Uh
The
huh.
shock when you get the phone call, you get the diagnosis. Maybe unfortunately it's cancer. Maybe it's um, you know, um, multiple sclerosis. Maybe it's Parkinson's. Maybe it's a heart problem. You get that when you learn that information, there's a period of time of about maybe 5 minutes to a couple hours where you're normalizing everything.
Yep.
You're, you're saying, okay, well, we'll deal with this. And I have an appointment in a half hour. I have to go do the grocery shopping. All
Yeah.
right. I got to go
Yep.
pick up my kid. I have to, oh,
The
I have a
typical
telephone.
adult day, right?
And then at some point, it's going to trickle in. Whether I said it could be 5 minutes or it could be a couple hours, it's going to trickle in that you have to stop everything. Life as you know it, at least for the next couple months, and then maybe you'll have stability, but then it may happen a couple months later.
Yep.
Again, that's the shock.
Yeah.
It is a shock.
The
You know,
cold water in your face.
I mean, imagine being told by a doctor that you do have an illness and that you need to be treated right away. Well, what if you had a vacation planned? What if you had a big meeting? What if
Yeah.
it's your kid's birthday? It's like, what? I have to
Oh,
stop
yeah.
everything? Yeah. That's the sad thing. It's not only are you going to stop everything, you're going to feel like crap. you know, you're going to lose a chunk of your life. However long it takes to get you back to normal or the new normal,
Uh huh.
you're going to lose time, and you're not
So
going
the
to. I mean,
so
so
the quicker you can get back to normal or the new normal, that's a good.
mhm.
You can get back
It
quick.
You do your best. You really
Yeah.
do your best. Because the next chapter is desperately seeking answers. You
Uh huh.
know, and I've learned, I'm guilty of this too. If I have a sore throat or a cough or a cold, and I go to the walk-in clinic here, okay, I want a pill right now, and I want to feel better tomorrow, and I want to just ignore this whole thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Sure.
Hey,
I get
I'm
it.
here. I'm here. Make me better right now.
Instant
Okay.
gratification.
Yes. Well, it doesn't happen with chronic illnesses.
Uh
It
huh.
doesn't happen like that. You're seeking answers, and I never really thought about this, but I've experienced it recently. You are desperate. You want to
No
go
doubt.
to you want to go to the doctor or the person who has the answers, and you'll pay whatever it takes. Just work. Just
Yep.
do it. And I'm finding more therapists, in addition, like not necessarily occupational therapists, but I'm finding there are certain areas of medical practice where they've decided they're not going to take insurance. They will give you the paperwork. They'll give you the,
Yep.
I just was told today that there's a consultation fee of $625.
Oh,
Okay. And
crazy.
they'll give me the paperwork to apply to my insurance because it's
Which
out of network.
which may reject you. So should we be thinking of, like, let's say, long-term disability insurance?
It's never a bad idea. It's never a bad idea. If you can get it through work, take it. Young people don't think they need it,
Yeah, of
but
course.
I can
I
tell
remember
you,
it was offered to me, and I was like, "Nah, I don't need that."
and you know what? It's not
And
that expensive. But I can tell you right now of a 22-year-old who was in a location over the summer and was doing her dream job. And she's now a quadriplegic due to a car accident that had nothing to do with her. She was
yeah,
she was at a
yep,
light. She was
yep,
at a traffic light and she was rear-ended. Now,
uh-huh,
I don't, why would you ever think that she's in her first job after college? Why would
yeah,
she even think of disability insurance? No,
yeah,
tell your kids to get it.
yeah. Why
Because
would she need it, right? I mean,
right, what you're young, you're this, you're that. Um,
yep. You can
so
bounce
that
back from
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, and maybe I mean, obviously makes, it's your full-time job. You know what I mean? It's not your $10 an hour job where you're still working and living at home. But
Yep.
because then you're not going to be able to, they're probably not even going to offer it to you. you know,
Yeah,
but if
true.
but if it's your first professional job where it's offered, I say take it. Just take it.
Hmm.
Um, because I just can't imagine things that are happening to all ages of people. And
Yeah.
and we want you. So that's why the occupational therapy is living the best you can under your current circumstances.
I love that. Living the best you can under your current circumstances. I think you need to, like, put that real big all over everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I love that saying. And I know that Mira and I is going to be coming back on. They'll wrap up our
Okay.
show pretty soon. But I want to give you like a moment to maybe part with some lasting wisdom. What is something that I didn't get to ask you yet that maybe I should have, Kim, or maybe where you going next? Just give us a little more wisdom because I hate to have you gone without it.
Yeah. Um, I would just I have a message for medical providers
Oh,
in
cool.
that um thank you for helping us. We wish we really didn't know you and we're sorry if we're late for appointments. Okay. you know,
Yeah.
because it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. The medical profession is a business and they are helpers, but they're a business. And
Yep.
if you or your child or your family member is ill, getting to doctor's appointments is tough. And
Yeah.
some offices have said that they won't see you if you're 15 minutes late. And I understand it
Oh,
because it's a business. But
yeah,
so
sure.
so the book is also for young medical professionals, especially to realize that this is impacting someone's life.
Yeah.
And the folks who are going through it, just let them know you are not alone. It's very hard to tell your stories because we're all exhausted, you know, but we're
Yep.
not alone. And to just
Yep.
grab the best minutes that you can.
I agree. And myself, like, I'm in the educational business and yourself being in
Right,
the medical business. I
right.
always like to tell people that, you know what, it's a people business. Educational world is people,
Yeah.
medical is people. It's a people
Mhm,
business first, and then
mhm.
medical and educational second. So just try to keep that in mind when you're crunching your numbers and doing all your data driven
Mhm.
decision making stuff. So
Right.
definitely. So Mira, I know you want to come back on and close us out.
I am right here before we leave, of course. Kim, where can our audience find you?
Um, well, I'm going to give you my email. We'll start there because I'm in the process of developing a blog for my book. So they can contact me at any time at KimberlyPeterson.ot, occupational therapist, at Gmail. Um, they I have written some romances as well. And so if they were interested, and I'm trying to connect everything that I do together because my romances are about hope and having a great life as well. So that I have a website and it's called KimWhitmoreWritesRomance.com. So they can find me there as well.
Thank you. How about
Cool.
you, Mr. Blanchard? Where can our audience
All right.
find you?
Thanks, man. I'm on danblanchard.net, granddaddysecrets.com. I'm all over social media,
Mhm.
the Facebook, all of them, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, go everywhere. You name it, I'm there. YouTube, Amazon, and definitely check me out on Mindalia TV. Woo, woo, Mindalia TV.
Thank you. We really appreciate the fact that you took time and that you allowed the Mindalia TV cameras to be a channel for your ideas. And before saying goodbye, We just want to remind you that Mindalia.com is an international nonprofit organization, and that if you want to collaborate with us, you can just like this video, leave us a positive comment, subscribe to our channel, or you can share the content of that we discussed today with someone that you know that can benefit of it. Having said that, we have nothing else to say by now, but goodbye and until next time. Bye.